I'm Jim Luff, Marketing Manager for Chosen Payments.
And I'm Sarah McKee, Brand Manager for Chosen Payments.
And together, we are probably two of the most prominent faces of Chosen Payments, with the exception of our boss, our CEO, Jeff Broadsley.
If you attend any of our trade shows, then you have seen Jim and I and all of our team on the trade show floor at networking parties, after our events, and probably talk to us on the phone.
True, and depending on what industry you're in, you might know our team. If you're in the funeral industry, you might have met Katie and Maria and myself. If you're in jewelry, you might have met Sarah. But the two of us, tend to travel to all of the shows that Chosen Payments is involved in. So chances are that you've met us before.
Yep, and we are experts in every industry for credit card processing. We work specifically in many industries. I'll go over a few of those right now, actually. We work in funeral, limo, optical. If I get stumped up, Jim, help me out. We work in jewelry. We work in uniforms. We work with auto dealerships, independent auto dealerships, transmission, transportation.
Car
I think I already said
dealerships.
that. Car dealerships. Um, what other industries are we?
Pet
The pet
care.
industry, pet care. Yeah. What else am I
See, we're on the
missing?
same page there. That's what
We
makes us a
are
good team.
talking at the same time.
Yep, yep. But who's the boss?
I am the boss of Jim. Which way are you? I am the boss of you.
Okay. I was just making sure that we had everything set straight for those people that are watching. But
Yeah.
seriously, we're coming to you today on the Chosen Scoop because normally we interview merchants that we serve and business partners of ours. But we decided at the beginning of the year, since we are still, kind of at the beginning of the year, that we were going to share a little bit more about what we do behind the scenes because as you know, if you have attended a trade show, especially one where we have a client appreciation party, Sarah puts those together. We both work together on putting together the booth, and we wanted to share with you a little bit more about what goes on because I joined the Chosen Payments team in 2016 with this, I don't know, kind of vision in my mind that it was all fun and games and that Chosen Payments goes to shows and everybody has a great time and we have
But hold on a
parties.
second. Before we go there, Jim, I'm going to interrupt you just real quick. Um, you joined Chosen Payments, but previous to that, you were a client and you were my client. Correct?
That's true, and we
Right?
should probably share that story as at Chosen Payments we have a once a month call called the All Hands Call, and everybody that works for or is associated with Chosen Payments in any way comes to those meetings. And this past week, Jeff Broadsley reminded everybody how Sarah and I met, and it is true. I was a merchant. I ran a limousine company for 25 years. And Sarah and I had spoken on the phone. We had a very loose relationship, but I had never seen her. And we were in, I believe it was Atlantic City. Both of us ended up at a private suite party
Yeah.
after the day ended. And Sarah and I just randomly started talking and chatted through the evening, but we really didn't talk about our professional lives. It was just stuff you would talk about at a party. The next day, I saw her at the Chosen Payments booth. And so, of course, I had to go back and say hi to her. And it was then that I found out that she was my merchant rep. And she was the girl that I not only talked to at the party, but the girl that helped me. And to share a little bit more about that and why I ended up coming to work for Chosen Payments, this is a fun story. Sarah used to call me to ask me, how's everything going? How are you doing? And really trying to keep in touch with me. And she caught me on a bad day where I was working on a personal project for a charity event. And I told her I'm very busy working on this event right now. And she said, oh, do you take credit cards at your event? And I told her we didn't. It wasn't something that we ever thought of before because people buy their tickets online through a ticket broker. But we did have a souvenir stand, and Sarah pointed out to me that we were probably missing out on sales by not having handheld credit card readers there and accepting credit cards at our festival. I felt it was too late in the game to start that. And Sarah said, well, how about if I bring a crew up and some handheld credit card readers, and we'll do your souvenir stand for you, and you can sell things using credit cards. I was pretty shocked with the offer. I asked her, why would you do that? And she said, because if it's important to you, it's important to us at Chosen Payments. That was a game changer for me that day. I realized that much as I thought that Sarah was very annoying for calling me all the time to check and see how I was doing, it was really a positive message of staying in touch. And when I retired at the end of 2015 from my company, I didn't really want to sit around and do nothing. And I knew that Chosen Payments was a company that I wanted to work with. And really, I just wanted to work with you, Sarah.
Yes, you did.
I did. And
yeah,
I think we're a great team ever since.
We are. And I think that we can talk to everybody a little bit about the behind the scenes, because I know, Jim, you get it. I get it a lot when we're traveling, which we love, even if we're, up late cleaning up a party, like late, 2, 3 a.m., a networking party, to getting up that following morning at 6 o'clock to go to a 7 a.m. breakfast. The kind of the grind behind the shows. Planning starts way in advance for a trade show, right? We have to figure out who's going, what are we going to do while we're there? Are we going to entertain our guests? Are we going to provide something extra at the booth? Well, we know we are going to, but what is it going to be at the booth? And coordinate schedules for everybody, who's going to be where, so that Chosen Payments is everywhere. And so, there's days where, we might laugh and smile and for a photo really quick, but we're really working hard the entire time, from making sure everything made it to the trade show, to setting up the trade show booth, building the booth, and setting the tables up to make sure all of our promotional items are there and our giveaways are there, to making it to the next meeting, to ensure that we can educate our clients in that space and prospective clients in that space, to speaking. You MC a lot of events, and we both speak on behalf of Chosen Payments. So while it's fun, but I think that the pictures portray that all we're doing is having a party. And I really enjoy the truth. I've built a lot of lifelong friends out of these networking events. Even though we're there to work, we're meeting new people, expanding our network, and making friends. And you're one of them. We met at a party. We hung out. You were my client. I didn't know it. And then you ended up coming to work for us, and we've just kind of took a left and kept going.
Yeah, and you've given me such a platform to talk about there. Let's go back to planning the shows. We really are working months ahead of time, and we're doing things that you probably would never even think of, but it all starts with the booth selection. And essentially, every trade show that we attend, we're given a map of every booth that's available for rent at the day that we decide that we're going to be in that show. And it's almost like a science in picking the booth. If you make a mistake, you could end up behind a pillar where nobody sees you, and you really don't get the foot traffic that you want. If you're too close to the bar, you can have lines from the bar that are backing up into your booth, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But so the first part is planning what location that we're going to be at. And you may find this odd, but most of the booths that we purchase do not come with carpet. So the next step that we do is we select carpet, and depending on the thickness of the carpet, we may add a pad to it. And we have to pay for all this stuff. It's extra in addition to the rent of the booth. Then we have to ship the booth there, and that's where the real challenge begins. When Sarah and I arrive at a trade show, the first thing that we need to do is find our booth and everything else that we've shipped. And sometimes that in itself can be a challenge. And I'm sure that you've done it, Sarah, where you ride around on a golf cart with somebody looking for your booth in a big
Yeah.
warehouse to say, oh, there it is over there.
Yep.
And then we go through the physical process of building the booth. And Sarah, you mentioned being up at 7 o'clock in the morning. So you may have
6
been at a
o'clock.
meeting, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, but you may have come to a breakfast meeting at 7 o'clock at a show and been asked by somebody from Chosen to look under your seat to see if there's money. Well, that money has to get there before everybody else comes in the room, which means that we have to get up an hour before everybody else even plans to come to that room to get that kind of stuff done. So I agree with you. There are times that we might see you at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and we are literally running on fumes, but we know that we're not going to be going to bed until 2 or 3 in the morning, and then chances are starting again at 6. So for the length of the show, whether it's a 2-day show or a 3-day show, we are running on very, very little sleep, but I think we thrive on it, don't we?
We do, because we could rest. Well, we do have a minute downtime. We could rest, but I can recall times that we've taken a walk on the Atlantic City Boardwalk, whether it's you and I or other coworkers with us or clients and friends. I can recall riding scooters in St. Louis, Missouri. I could probably give you 20 examples of things that we've done just to kind of relax for a second when we do have a minute. And when I mean a minute, within an hour of downtime. And one of the things that we want to do is not just make our booth great for us, for Chosen Payments, successful for Chosen Payments, but we want to improve and enhance the trade show of the partner or industry that we're at. We want to make sure that we add some spice to their trade show, whether your Jim's serving beer and pretzels in a booth at a funeral show, or I have a masseuse at the booth at the transportation show, or we have a photographer with some pretty cool green screen pictures at a booth in let's see what state's next, Jim, Orlando show. So we're always trying to make sure that we deliver during those shows. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of fun, especially if your partner forgets a cord.
Especially if your partner forgets an umbrella and you're walking in New York in the worst rainstorm you've ever experienced in your life. I'm a Cali boy. I visited with Sarah at her house not too long ago. I arrived in shorts and a t-shirt and realized that Michigan isn't really a good place for shorts and t-shirts for me, being from
Not
Cali.
in September. Not in September.
I think for the people that live in Michigan, it's probably okay. But again, being from California, I don't have a lot of experience with rain. And one thing that we do when we're not working, actively working a trade show floor, if we're in a city and we have merchants, we do try to get together with those merchants and have dinner or cocktails or spend time. And Sarah and I were in New York, and I believe we were at the book show, but we were going to go meet with another client and have dinner with him. And for whatever reason, we elected to walk, and a rainstorm developed that was just horrendous. And we had to buy cheap umbrellas from some little store. All the stores in New York pull out buckets of umbrellas when it starts raining like that. But we probably walked how many miles, Sarah? 5?
Oh, I think we walked over 5 miles. Yes. And
I mean,
we
we
bought it.
were walking and
Yeah.
walking and walking. But we definitely have some fun adventures, and as Sarah alluded to, the things that we put into our shipping containers when we go to a show, it's very important. And one thing that we do at Chosen Payments on a regular basis with almost everything we touch is we have lists. We have lists of things that we do. So nothing is technically supposed to get lost in the cracks. We do the same thing each and every time, so it becomes habit. And what Sarah was alluding to is that I did forget to pack an extension cord one day, and sometimes you need them, sometimes you don't. But even worse than that, I checked it off on the checklist when it wasn't really there.
No, it
So,
wasn't. And we needed
but
it like at the fifth
we did
hour.
we did need it. But how soon did I recover?
You recovered pretty quickly.
Okay.
And that's a good point to talk about is how do we maintain through, the stresses and the challenges and the, maybe internal frustrations that we have, because it's going to happen, right? Not that, I mean, no operation is perfect, although we try to be. But the way that we handle ourselves is pretty great, I think, because I'm stressing out. I can't plug in our TVs. Our boss wants to make sure that we're displaying what we have on the TVs. And Jim's busy working on organizing, his responsibilities, whatever those were, which was another list of things. I'm chugging through the hallway, texting you, Jim, saying, hey, where's a cord? And in your haste, you're like, what cord? We don't have a cord. And I said, well, you checked it off on the checklist. And so, I mean, it wasn't even 40 minutes, and I had a picture of the TVs plugged in. And you had to go negotiate and sell your shoe to get it.
I did. And that was just pure luck that at the time you were texting me, I was on the show floor and I was next to a bus and they had pulled out like milk crates full of cables and cords and whatnot. And I saw that and I thought, well, surely they must have an extension cord. And I introduced myself, showed them where our booth was across from theirs, and they told me, we really don't like to loan our stuff out because it doesn't come back. Fair enough. I mean, I get that. And so, I mean, we're talking about a $20 extension cord. So I said, here's what I'll do. I'll give you a $20 deposit right now. I think I didn't have a 20, I had a 50. So I had to say, here's a $50 deposit. If I don't bring back your extension cord at the end of the show, you can keep the 50. You can go and buy 3 extension cords for this. And they
Yep.
said, fair deal. Took my 50, handed me the cord, and I took it to our booth, and the problem was solved. But I think you did point out that all of us that work at Chosen Payments work as a team, one unit, and we will get the job done. It may take multiple people to do it, and this is important to know if you're one of our merchants. And maybe you have a chargeback and you call your account executive and you tell them the situation that you have, and it might take a little bit to get back to you. But that's because your account rep is getting our operations department involved. They're getting me involved, maybe Sarah. We're working in the background, but we are working as a team. So no matter what your issue is with Chosen Payments, it's never just one person. You have one point person, but you have an entire team of people that collaborate together, and each of us provide a little bit of expertise in the area of whatever we're working on. And that, I think, is what really sets us apart from other credit card processors.
I agree. I agree. And actually, I'm glad you said that because it was in my brain. Another thing that flows well is the next thing I was going to mention was, besides the traveling, which I want to get back to a trade shows in a minute and kind of talk about our prep for setting the boss up. But I want to talk about exactly what you just said. So I'm going to jump forward to that a minute. When a merchant has a challenge or an issue, if we can fix it, we will fix it on the spot. If it's beyond our control, the one thing that we do not do is say, you know what, I'm sorry, that has nothing to do with your credit card processing, or it's technically not your credit card processing. We've had merchants that have had fraudulent transactions. And while we can give you some education and some proactive best practices to put in place, we can't prevent the identifying of the fraud in person because we are not there. So we had a merchant that actually did take a lot of our best practices, but was not taking advantage of, I believe, our fraud controls in the system. And we've had a couple of them, but specifically in my head, I think of an incident where, Jim, I had to get you involved because you, one, came from that industry, and two, you were able to help them even outside of the credit card processing. So you spent your time wrapping up and tidying up from our end on what we could do. And then you took it the extra step and spent time with that merchant to help them in their industry, which brings me to the fact of, why we get involved in these industry specific. We learn, we understand, we want to know how do you operate? What's the intricacies of your business? What are your best practices? What are your practices? What kind of situations might you run into? And that way we can educate ourselves and go take a step further and help you pre, before, after, whether, and during this pandemic. Jim, I'm sure you've helped some people. I reached out to my funeral clients and said, hey, can I introduce you to some of my transportation clients? And vice versa. Can I connect you in other industries as well? I've reached out to my some of our jewelry clients and said, hey, can we help you and get you set up on a website, since right now your retail isn't open? And so kind of thinking outside of the box and bringing it back to how well we work together, because we can roll a merchant from my hands where I feel like I need some help or some expertise and bring it to you or bring it to Talia in the office. I can't tell you how many times a merchant will message me, and if I know the answer, I do it right away. But if I can't get back to it right away, then I'm going to loop in an expert in our office to say, I'm going to be right here with you, but this person is really the expert in that area, so they're going to help you, but I'm going to follow.
Yeah, I think that all of these things that you just talked about are something that are instilled in us by Jeff Broadsley. He really, he pushes us to provide excellent service, to use resources, to think creatively, and never when you call Chosen Payments is somebody going to take your call if you have a concern and just pass it off to somebody and pass the buck. When I'm working with a merchant on a chargeback, it's my job to stay with them till the very end. Whether we win or we lose, until the very end, I stay with that customer, because I don't ever want one of our merchants to think that we just flip them to somebody else. And along those lines, Jeff really does encourage us to build personal relationships and friendships with you. And Sarah, you mentioned that you've created lifelong friends with people that we've met through the industry, as I have as well. And one of the unique things about the position that we're in, I had a call yesterday from a limo operator in San Diego, and he was explaining a potential fraud. He called it a potential fraud. So he's in San Diego and telling me what happened and why he feels uneasy about the transaction. Well, as he relayed the story, I realized that I helped another merchant in the limousine industry in Denver last week who had the same exact fraud perpetrated against him. So it gives us knowledge that we can share with people within the industry. So when we see these trends happening, schemes that are used over and over, we'll post fraud alerts on social media for particular industries to say, watch out for this name. This is how the scam works, and help you. Where I think most credit card processors in America just process your credit cards. If you have a fraud case, you have a chargeback, too bad, so sad, bad luck, whatever. Whereas, we're constantly looking for ways to protect our merchants from being caught up in fraud webs that we hear about and we know about. And that, as a result of having these relationships with our merchants that make it comfortable enough for them to text us in the middle of the day or call us on our cell phone and say, hey, this is what I have going. And again, it might not be my job or my role, whatever their concern is, but I will get them to the right person within our company that has the expertise, and I will stay with them till closure. And if I hand something off to Sarah or anybody else in one of our chosen offices, they will constantly loop me into emails and communicate till the very end, until everybody is satisfied that we've done everything we can to help our merchant. So I really love that part about, Chosen Payments and working here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Jeff we've all been with him for many years. I personally have been with him for, I think we counted it up the other day. I know it's over 12, but 10 at Chosen Payments, or 11. I don't know. I don't know anymore. 10 or 9 at Chosen Payments. And we have that let's get it taken care of. Let's take care of our clients. So that's always awesome. And I think that concept transfers from within our company to our relationships to the partners that we partner with, all the way to our work relationships and traveling.
Yeah, and um, I in talking about the fraud that we've seen, if you don't know it, we post an educational blog every single Monday on our Facebook page as well as our website. We also send a once a month educational piece to our referral partners or partners that we associate with, like the Jewelers of America, American Booksellers Association, different partners that we have. We provide merchant education, and every Thursday I write a new blog. But we also have a meeting every Tuesday with our marketing team, and we talk about things that we're seeing in different industries and how we can best educate our industry as a whole, or our merchants as a whole. So if you're not using those, a lot of the Sarah was talking about how we can't answer your phone for you and detect fraud, but we can sure teach you about things to look for. And I mean, in the case of the limo operator in Denver, there are obvious red flags all over the place, and I'm going to share those with you right now because they're easy. A customer calls in, places a large order with a credit card, everything goes fine. That's called the test run to the fraudster. The card works and you worked. You delivered what you were supposed to.
Yeah.
Now, if the same customer who you've never met before comes back tomorrow and gives you another order with that same card, and it's a sizable order, could be a red flag, could be somebody just doing a lot of business. The customer calls back a third time and the credit card declines, and he says, "Hey, I'm a good customer." He has been for 2 days. "Let me get a different credit card. I have a problem with that one." And he gives you a new card. Those are 3 red flags in a row right there. And that third time, instead of just saying, "Okay, let me wait for a new credit card," when that new credit card comes, you have to do due diligence and go the extra mile of calling in on the merchant hotline, saying you have a code 10, a suspicious transaction, and let them go through the process of contacting the cardholder and saying, "Hey, are you really trying to make a purchase for $2,000 at ABC Limos? Yes or no?" And you have the opportunity to head off the fraud before it comes. But the educational things, if you're not reading them, I would highly suggest you do. They're generally 1 page long and can save you money and heartache in the long run.
On that education, let's talk about where it comes from. We, as Jim mentioned, we have several different internal meetings. One of them is a marketing meeting that we have. There's a marketing team at Chosen Payments where we get on the call weekly. We update each other. We talk about tasks upcoming or new tasks that might have came up, new opportunities that might have came up recently or that we're working on ongoing. And one line item on there is education, education and hot topics, to talk about what is hot right now. What do we need to take a look at that either we've written about 5 years ago and update to the standards, because that's part of our process, right? Because it might not be the same today. The regulations change, everything changes. But we get on the call and one of us dealt with something or someone escalated something to one of us. We're able to say, "Hey, we have this going on," or "My client was interested in this. Can we educate them a little more on that?" And Jim will take those key points and make sure he gets all the details and valid regulations on anything it is and put it into writing and share that with our clients. And we also take a step further and look at each industry. How does this subject matter affect this industry? It's going to affect our online sales merchants different than it's going to affect our retail sales most of the time. So we have to make sure that we cater our writings to each industry. Every once in a while, if Jim's busy, I'll take a stab at writing something, have him fix it. So, but that's where it comes from, is true raw data. As we go through these experiences or someone inquires on something, we take it seriously. If we do not know enough, we're going to find out and get it for you.
Yeah, and that's true. There's sometimes that we have questions that are posed to us by merchants that we don't know anything about, and we have to research it and find the answer. But if the question applies across multiple merchants that might benefit from this information, then we take that same education that we learned and share it across the board with all of our merchants. Because if one wants to know and one benefits, all need to know and all can benefit. So I think we probably yacked people's ears off enough for one day. We could probably talk all day. I
Yep.
truly enjoy working with you, Sarah, and Sarah
Ditto.
mentioned
I'm the
a
boss.
little.
Don't forget I'm the boss.
She's the boss. She's the boss. But
Oh,
if
thank
you
you.
look at our relationship and you think that we all look like we're one happy family, well, that really is how it is. And Sarah's kids all call me Uncle Jim, and I love her kids. I feel like I'm a part of her family. She's a part of my family. And we are all one big family here at Chosen Payments. And if we can be of service to
I
you,
would like to say on that.
what's
Yep.
that?
Go ahead.
What did you think?
No, finish what you were saying.
I was just going to say, if you ever need help, feel free to call either one of us as a starting point for any issue that you might come across, and we'll be sure to get the right answer for you, or at least get the right person to help you, and we'll stay with you till the end.
Yep. Find us. Find us. Even if you don't work with us already, if you do not work with Jim or I, or you've never met us, but you want to work with us, get a hold of us. And if you already are with Chosen Payments and you need to reach out to us, we're open. So,
All right, guys. Jim Luff and Sarah McKee on the Chosen Scoop. We hope you've enjoyed your time. We've enjoyed our time with you, and we hope to see you in person again real soon. Bye, everybody.
real soon. Bye.